You were betrayed. You're still hurting. Maybe you're fighting with your partner and feeling bad, and you're entitled to act like that after everything that you've been through. You're right. But what if being right is actually keeping you stuck? In this video, we're going to talk about destructive entitlement. My name is Leanna West. This is Accelerated Hypnotherapy, and I am a Betrayal Trauma Recovery Specialist. Destructive entitlement can happen after you've been betrayed. You are feeling like you've been so deeply hurt by the betrayal that you start to justify destructive behavior towards your partner. If you've left your ex because of betrayal, you might still be engaging in this behavior with innocent bystanders in your life. Destructive entitlement can show up as criticism, conflict, control. You might be withholding affection, shaming, or just letting it go when you feel reactive. And this often happens when clients stay with their partners after infidelity or betrayal, and their feelings of betrayal and abandonment are so overwhelming that they feel like they're entitled to destructive behavior. I was working with a client who found out that her husband was cheating. And on discovery day, your brain catches on fire in that emotional part of your brain. And she didn't know how to stop the fire. And 2 years after the betrayal, she was crying. She was still upset, as if that betrayal had just happened. And she was fighting with him to remind her husband how much he hurt her so that he would never forget. And so she was justifying this behavior, the fighting and the lashing out. And with betrayal, time does not heal all wounds. Things often get worse. They get more complex. It's like a snowball getting bigger over time because the betrayal keeps the brain in danger mode. And your past experience of betrayal affects your feelings of trust and safety in the present moment. My client wanted her husband to understand fully how she was feeling so he could understand what he had done to her. And here's the thing, she had every right to remind him of the hurt that he caused in order that he would never cheat again. But this is what was also keeping her stuck, because that focused on the past was keeping that experience in the present moment. And that type of behavior that was used to punish instead of healing was affecting her partner, but most importantly, it was affecting her because it kept her in the betrayal instead of creating a new future, whether that was with or without her husband. It was this pattern, and when she felt bad, she wanted her husband to know how bad she was feeling. What she didn't realize that this cycle was damaging her as well and was ultimately damaging the relationship. Destructive entitlement keeps your relationship stuck in the past. And ultimately, you want to forget about the betrayal, but you keep remembering because the experience is fragmented and it's still in the present tense. It hasn't been put into the past tense. It hasn't been processed into a cohesive experience that your brain can file away into the past. So it keeps popping up randomly in the present tense, like it's happening again. Destructive entitlement helps stir up the past, and it keeps you in the experience of random flashbacks, intrusive thoughts that lead to rumination, and these intense feelings in your body. It's those same feelings that you felt on D-Day when you discovered your partner was cheating. Or it might even remind you of an earlier or the first time that you were ever betrayed. And so you have these random flashbacks of betrayal, and you keep punishing your partner with behavior, but you're mostly punishing yourself because you're the one that is experiencing it. Patience is not an unlimited virtue. It's not an unlimited resource. And so your partner may start to shut down, withdraw, and start to feel hopeless about the future of the relationship, just like the way you might be feeling. But remembering is not recovering. And healing means letting go of destructive entitlement, because you can be right or you can be related. And you are right. You are entitled to this behavior. You've been hurt. You've been betrayed. You're feeling hopeless. And it's that complex nature of betrayal that starts to snowball. And you might be so angry because you don't resemble anything like the person who you used to be before the betrayal. And your relationship doesn't resemble what it used to be. You might think that it's been ruined by the betrayal. So you're punishing your partner. And as this unresolved experience of betrayal snowballs, it might start to affect other areas of your life. Like you might have lost interest in hobbies, in things that you used to love, in friendships. And another symptom of trauma is that it starts to affect your job. It starts to affect your money. It starts to affect your security. It's not about forgetting that the betrayal happened, but accelerated hypnotherapy can help you work with betrayal, work with your past in a way that creates a space for possibilities. And you might not be able to even imagine that right now, how that's even possible, because you're so in the past, you're so surrounded by the betrayal that it's starting to fill up your future. You're feeling so hopeless because it's out there taking up space in your future. You can resolve betrayal trauma without forcing your partner to go to couples therapy. And even if you don't know how that you can let go of that way that you feel about what's happened, about the betrayal. And here's the thing, you're the one that is listening to this. You're the one who searched this up. You're the one who's looking for change. You're the one who's looking for help, for answers on how to move past betrayal. Because it's your experience. If betrayal is still living rent-free in your mind, then you're the one that needs to let go of the past. And you're not going to do it for them. You're going to do it for you. If you're still feeling stuck, triggered as heck, and you feel the need to punish your partner, you're feeling like you're entitled to whatever type of behavior, like you're entitled to just let your anger fly, and you're feeling entitled to that destructive behavior, that's just a sign. It's a sign of trauma, and you can't help the way that you're feeling. When your brain is on fire, it is so overwhelmed that it can't let go. It can't heal and put the betrayal into the past. And my client went to couples therapy, but her husband didn't like it because she would get so triggered by digging up the past and talking about it. But when she started doing hypnotherapy, her husband was happy because we stopped the fire in her brain and her mind would be calm. And in that month of working together, she created the possibility of being more in love with her husband than she ever was. She learned how to access that space of infinite possibility because it's actually a skill. She just found herself, without trying, letting go of the past, letting go of that entitlement. And it was effortless because it was just a symptom of her brain being on fire. It was just a symptom of trauma. It was just like smoke from the fire. And when we stopped the fire, the smoke cleared on its own. And she created that possibility for herself and her relationship. And after we worked together, she was more in love with her husband. And that might seem totally impossible for you, even though you might still be with your partner. But that's what she got from her unique intersection of experiences. But it may or may not be what you create for yourself. But when we stop the fire and the smoke clears, you'll finally get clarity. It might seem impossible because you've been trying to solve betrayal with your conscious mind. So you've been digging up the past, you've been thinking about it, you've been talking about it, you've been revivifying the way that you felt, and you're reliving it as if it's actually happening again over and over. Because talking about trauma is like pouring gasoline on the fire to try to put it out. If betrayal was a problem that you could solve with your conscious mind, you probably would have solved it by now. But if you're still experiencing the symptoms of trauma after betrayal, part of the reason is that if you're trying to solve it with your conscious mind, you're limited to what's in your conscious awareness. You're limited by what you know, and you've probably been trying to find out even more about the betrayal. Like you want to know what happened, all the times, all the details. You just want to know everything, but you're getting some form of trickle truth because your partner doesn't really want to talk about it. But here's the thing. You can't fix betrayal with logic because logic can't fix your feelings. That emotional part of your brain is still hyperactive. This is what trauma does. This is what betrayal does. It makes the emotional part of your brain hyperactive, hypersensitive so that it gets triggered easily, and then it becomes hypervigilant. It's worried about the next lie. It wants to find out more about the betrayal because your brain is stuck in danger mode. So it wants all the information, but information is not transformation. You're in danger mode. You're in fight and flight, and you never get to rest, relax, repair, and heal. Instead of trying to bring things up into your conscious awareness, into what you know, just leave it down in your subconscious. You don't have to remember to recover. Instead, we can connect you with your superconscious so that you can access a space of infinite possibilities that have nothing to do with the past, nothing to do with the betrayal. You get to start fresh. And when you access that space of infinite possibilities, you're not limited to what you know or what you've already experienced. And your superconscious can find the resources within you because it understands what you've gone through better than anyone, even you, because it remembers everything, even the things that you might not remember that you forgot. It's recorded all of your experiences, even the ones that you don't remember. When your brain is on fire, nothing works. If this makes sense to you, drop a fire emoji in the comments. I've put a special link in the description, and let's connect on the next one.